Okay, so I'm often asked what actually happens during a session of meditative flogging. And I say, well, it's like this cloud of sensations. It's like a fine mist of touch and slaps that you create around someone. And then they say, yeah, sure, but what actually happens? So that is what this video is about. You clean the room, first of all. So that you create like your own little temple. It's like your sacred space. Then you carefully lay out your instruments so that the tone is set. And then the person who will receive the flogging takes off their clothes. Now, here's another question I get asked quite frequently. Do people have to be naked? Now, the answer to that is, of course, well, no, they don't. Except meditative flogging is about sensations. It is about flogging. It's about receiving the impact of the whips on your body and the body responding to that. So you can wear all the clothes you want, except, clothes muffle the impact. So it's much nicer to wear as little clothes as you feel comfortable with. Then the next step is the person who receives the flogging. They step to where they need to stand and they stand there. That's it. It's not more complicated than that. And me as the person giving the flogging, or you as the person giving the flogging, you try to introduce yourself to the other person without words. And then very gently I introduce my body to theirs. What I do is I place a hand on them, which is usually on their back, because that is the most neutral space. And you don't want to, start off creating all kind of sensations. You want to just introduce each other to each other. So after this introduction of skin to skin, I begin stroking someone. I just hold them for a while. I hold their shoulders, I hold their middle, I stroke their back, and I gently begin squeezing them so that the body gets more excited, in a sense. There's more, the blood starts to flow, there's energy going on. And then when I think, well, this has lasted long enough, and it usually lasts for about 10 to 20 minutes, that's when the first flogger comes out. Now, what is a flogger? A flogger is a whip consisting of various strands of leather, usually, but you can use anything, you can use rope if you feel like it, or rubber. I have small floggers, I have bigger floggers. I tend to begin with introducing a medium-sized flogger, not too heavy, not too light, and I just introduce it. I let the flogger and the body of the person who's going to receive the flogging get acquainted. Again, it's all very, very gradual. And so I touch them with the flogger. I just hold it there for a while and then very gently swing the flogger against their skin. And these touches gain in strength until I think, okay, now we're going to begin. And then the actual flogging begins, and I start moving my flogger back and forth in a figure 8 sort of motion. And again, it's not about using force, it's about using rhythm. It's about creating a pleasant rhythm on someone's skin, and the skin translates that to the body, and the body translates it to the mind, and the intention is for someone to be able to relax. Now, here's another question for you. Well, actually, it's a question for me. People ask, does it hurt? And the answer to that most of the time basically is no, it doesn't. It's just that the impact is going to gain in strength. So at some point you will feel specific and quite powerful impact on the body. But by that time, there is this rhythm going on. That's what I try to do. I'm a big fan of two-handed flogging. So what I do there is I use 2 small floggers and I begin creating a little rhythm. And this can become quite hypnotic. And the person who's receiving the flogging, they can anticipate this rhythm. And what they do, they adjust their breath. And so they themselves, they feel that. They're becoming a part of this whole, of the entire experience. They're not outside of it. They're not someone receiving a flogging. They are someone being the flogging. And again, then gradually, I go from this light tapping to using a heavier flogger, so that the sensations become more intense. And then after we've been through this, and this all takes time. You know, it's not flogger, light, heaviest. It's a very gradual build-up of sensation, so that the energy flow gets increased. And then finally, this lasts for approximately 40 minutes, 50 minutes, maybe an hour, and then the heavy floggers come in. I have one flogger that's really a thick, heavy flogger. And again, in a sense, I almost begin anew. I take a little moment, and then the big flogger is introduced. Again, almost in a stealthily way. I tap this heavy flogger, but it's a heavy flogger. So people will feel that sensation of being pushed, what is generally referred to as thud or oomph. I like to call it oomph. And then the heavy flogger, again, it builds up and builds up. So you begin with fairly light strokes, and gently these become more and more heavy until there's really this massive mountain of sensation that is hitting the person receiving. And by this time you might say, yes, that is an actual flogging. It's a heavy, impactful thing. And so there's a lot of emotion connected to that. Again, this is not about pain. It's not about hurting someone, because that is the easiest thing in the world. What it is about shaking the body up in a sense that the body gets all, how shall I say this, inspired in a way. And then at some point, it's over. I've taken people up the mountain, so to speak, and now we've reached the peak. And it's a quiet moment. Does that moment have to be like nothing happening? Not necessarily. Just that you can't go any higher, so you want to stay and relax for a bit. At this point, I usually get out a cane. Now, a cane is basically a stick. And with that cane, I just very gently tap the person, so that after all this heavy hitting, it's not suddenly all over. It's the rhythm continues, but it continues at a much gentler rhythm. And the cane just very gently touches the body, and I move around a person. So the cane hits them everywhere. It's like a circular motion. I walk around people, and they feel the cane on their body, but they don't. My impression is that people don't actually feel this as a stick hitting their body. They feel it as sensation. They feel it as a rhythm that is created on their skin, and that is translated into their body and becomes a part of the experience, becomes part of their emotions. And so it's a very, very quiet, gradual cooling down. And that's basically it. The whole thing lasts for about an hour and a half. And my experience is that, people are filled with bliss at that point. Many emotions have come out. People may have cried, they may have screamed, they may have laughed like crazy. All manner of things happen. And then they just stand there and wallow in the beauty of this experience. And usually their mind has drifted miles away. So it's very much like a trance state. And that's what we're aiming for. And basically, that's it. That's what happens. What actually happens. But there's something magical that happens because of the emotion, because of the energy of the bodies. And I've had people report, there were spirits and ghosts in the room. And I believe that is so. We conjure up ghosts, we conjure up the ancestors. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's all done with the body. The body is a portal to the realm of the mystery.